Radio Free 102.3 KJLH, KJLHradio.com. It is a Wellness Wednesday, and what could be more appropriate? We have a group of authors joining us this morning. The book is Shenomenal Women, women who gave up excuses and made a way through life's most challenging times. Joining us right now, author and co-host of the April and Tamika show. She's an advocate for equality, self-love, and women's empowerment. Her messages are intentional and encourage you to live a power-packed and meaningful life on purpose. She's a dedicated wife and mom who devotes her time to motivating women to seek clarity and tap into their personal truth. Mika Morris, good morning.
Good morning.
Congratulations on the book, first of all.
Thank you.
This is a collection of women sharing their stories, challenges, hardships, victories, and healing modalities, right?
Yes, ma'am. Tasha Champion, she's on a call. I think she's having a little bit of technical difficulty. She is her vision. She's the visionary author of the book. She got 22 of us together, including herself, which makes 23. And it's 23 phenomenal short stories about, and the ages varies, the backgrounds varies, the stories varies, and they're just amazing stories of how women got through some things, triumphed in the end.
Wow, that's amazing. I'm sure we'll get Tasha Champion on the line before this is all over. But I want to introduce another co-author. She's actually a registered nurse, an entrepreneur, co-owner of TNT Photo Booth and Dirty Deeds Dumping, born and raised in LA, California. And she's also a mom. Danisha Jeter, welcome.
Good morning. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
And yeah, I mean, you're born and raised in LA. We didn't know there was such a thing, but you graduated from Crenshaw and and El Camino College and all that good stuff. And now you have a book. So congratulations.
Yes. Thank you. So Tasha and I went to high school together. So that's how I met Tasha, back in high school. And just over the years, we just been working together on multiple projects. And when this came up, I was like, absolutely, this was just too important, not to do. So many, girls have stories and that are untold. And, her knowing what she went through and she know what I went through, we help each other. So if we could help, so many more, like, why not? It was just too important not to do.
Yeah. Mika, I know you said this is Tasha Champion's vision, but certainly you have been a champion also for this project. What's your hope that will come out of this? I mean, when you share challenges and trauma, it's kind of scary. At least to me, it is.
Oh, it is, but it's important though. I'm such an advocate for the book in a sense that Tasha, Danisha, and I have gotten together and collaborated with not only selling our own personal books from this journey, but also giving the books back to foster care children or young women to help them, understand that don't give up, like just continue and understand, like once you read these stories and then you read these bios, you understand that, okay, you may be going through something right now, but if you keep pushing through and if you keep, serving the God or source that you serve, you'll persevere through all of these things. It's just life, giving you life. And then once you understand that you're not the only one, and if you can reach, you can see yourself. So many of these stories I saw myself in the multiple stories. It wasn't just my story. It was like, oh, this sounds like what I went through, and this sounds like what I went through. And if the men could read the books, understand all the things that women go through, I just think that it's just an amazing, art to just be able to read and see yourself and see the women that's around you and see all of the the trauma that they may go through and not see themselves tap out. Like they actually tap in and then they just continue to keep moving and keep moving and keep moving. And then it's success at the end of the tunnel. And it's not so doom and gloom. So it starts off, some of the stories may start off idyllic and then they go through some turbulence and then they persevere in it. And so it's like, yes. So if I keep going, I can get through this. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's powerful to people, those of us who have been through some dark times and just real traumatic scenarios, to hear from folks like you who are willing to share their own trauma and see that you appear to be like living your best life, or that you and I see, on the website, you guys are using so many different modalities, from yoga, from life coaching, from meditation, to manifest what you are, the reality that you're creating for your lives. It's encouraging, because I think sometimes when we go through stuff, it's like, oh, well, this is me. I'm cursed, or I'm down, or it's because I'm not good enough. And, I think a lot of us, especially as Black women, we don't necessarily get that affirmation all the time from society. We think, oh, I'm in this category, and Danisha Jeter, she's in that category. She's the businesswoman. Mika Morris, she's that blessed one, and I'm that cursed one. So I think it's powerful. Talk to me about your thought process, Danisha, in sharing and what inspiration you've gotten from the other women.
Well, what I wanted to share about myself, because I was a teenage mom. I grew up in a single parent home. My father was on drugs, my whole life. So I didn't start off as this blessed entrepreneur, with a, perfect marriage. Like, I went through some things to get that, to get there. And so that was my whole thing, just to, I wrote a part of my life when I was very, very young. I gave you my beginning. And like Mika always says, read our bios, because I wrote about my beginning, but here's not necessarily my end, but this is where I landed. So where you start off doesn't necessarily, determines where you're going to land. And so, when I was writing that, I have a daughter. I have two daughters. I have friends that have daughters. I have, other women that, look up to me, younger and older. And it's just like, we all need, some tools. And in this journey, in my 41 years, I got some tools in my toolbox. My 60-year-old aunt, she was just like, this book, she was like, this is something I'm gonna need, this is something I'll put in my toolbox. And she's 60 years old. She has 20 more years over me. It's a lot of life, but it's just some things that you can pull from each and every story. It's certain, I've read the book cover to cover at least 4 times, but it's certain stories that I go back to just, because again, life is a journey. You're going to always, every day comes with something different. So I go back to a couple of stories just to remind myself, like, okay, I got this. You know what I mean? This is, have to just like, I need something just to, keep me motivated. And I think this is what this book does. Again, like she said, we have women, our age up to 75 years old, who just have a lot of knowledge and a lot of life to, that they went through. It just got some tools just to give us to get through our day to day. So like I said, my portion, I thought about that. I thought about my daughter. What would I wanted somebody to tell me when I was 18 years old, that, this is not the end, even though my circumstances right now aren't ideal, my self-esteem isn't the greatest. I didn't have anybody really pouring into me, but how can I get out of that? How can I dig myself out of this and move on and become greater than what I was able to see? Nobody in my family is an entrepreneur. I was the first one to graduate from college. Nobody, I was only able to do that because, again, going out into the world and just getting these different tools. So I needed to share that with other people. So that was pretty much my process. Like, how can I implement how I was able to, pull myself up and just put just a little taste of how I was able to do it in this book. And I think all the ladies pretty much kind of did that, just what they were able to do just to get themselves out of that situation. And you just put it all together, and collectively, it's a tool book.
All right, we do have Tasha on the line now. She's a certified master life coach, intuitive healer. She works with women to bring out the best in them, guiding them to become Shenomenal. The mission for every woman is to know it's possible to achieve full self-love, value, and authentic happiness. Tasha Champion, welcome to the front page.
Thank you so much. How are you this morning?
I'm blessed and I'm inspired. It's great to hear from you women and see the work that you're doing to uplift other women and men. Tasha, Mika Moore said this book was your brainchild. Tell me what your vision was.
On April 29th of last year, I was really just sitting at my desk at work, my last office job, and I just felt God tell me, you're going to write a book called Shenomenal Women. And I paused, like, who's getting ready to write a book? And God told me again, and I swear in that moment, he just grabbed my hand and put me into full throttle. And I had no idea who God was going to bless me with to be along this journey, but I just trusted. And what I realized is that so many women, we have these beautiful circles of friendships. And sometimes in those circles, your closest friends have gone through something that you may not even know of. You may not have shared what you've gone through, yet you guys have these best friendships, or you have these close circles. And what I wanted women to see is that it's okay to acknowledge where you've been. It doesn't define where you are today. It doesn't define where you're going. And I wanted women to have that safe space to say, I've been through that, because it gives another woman permission to finally use her voice and say, okay, I can exhale. I can express that I've been through this too, because holding it in as if you're the only person that's gone through it, it's not healthy for you. And it can minimize the life that you really want to live when you're holding it all in. And again, where you've been does not define who you are. You're phenomenal because you were born.
Yeah, that's powerful. India Arie has a line in one of her songs that says, my past don't dictate who I am. I choose. And it's just one of those lines that I love. Because no matter how perfect and wonderful a woman looks or a person looks in their lifetime, most likely they've been through some things to get to where they are. And it resonated too, looking at what Naomi Osaka is going through right now, being in the national and international spotlight and saying, she didn't want to do press interviews because of her mental health, and then having to step away from the French Open because she was respecting her own self-care and saying, she suffers from depression and anxiety, and she drew a clear boundary and walked away. I thought that was really brave and bold and courageous. And one of the things that hasn't even been talked about in the press is how, the pressure on her, not just in the spotlight, but as a Black woman in the spotlight is magnified, especially in those dominantly white spaces like the tennis world. And I guess the reason I'm bringing it up right now, because when I was looking through your website and reading about the book, I felt like this is something that someone like Naomi Osaka going through this kind of a crisis could really benefit from. Mika Morris, talk a little bit about how me, and whoever's listening can use the book, Shenomenal Women, and some of the modalities that you guys are putting forth to get in self-healing mode.
So my goal simply, and part of the goal of the book, when Tasha came to each one of us, was we did an interview with Tasha, and she was like, how are you phenomenal? And it's simply because you exist. And because you exist. So in knowing that, once I sell the book, not only am I selling a book, I'm also giving back. So the three of us got together, and Danisha, she'll probably elaborate a little bit further. We came up with the Amelia Project, which we're going to give back to some foster care homes or foster individuals that's going through. But also, not just those. I've given back to the Boys and Girls Club. Friday, we're going to do a workshop with some ladies in self-healing. So this book, what we hope to do is that if you're in a space where you don't even see the light in it, but you come across a book like this, I mean, the cover itself is just beautiful. But once you open that book and then all those gems, all those tools, everything that's in there, and then you hear from us, and then we have workshops with you. My goal is just to inspire women that it doesn't matter where you're at. Don't stay there. Get up. Get up. Continue to be great. Continue to be who God has called you to be. Your life is amazing. And if I can see the God in you and you can see the God in me, and we just illuminate with each other, and our lights just shine and just continue to shine in the world. I think this book came at the perfect time during the pandemic, when our mental stability has been shaken at its core, because we've never been here before. But in doing this book, we did this book during the pandemic, and now it's finally released. And it's just like, wow, this was perfect timing. This was God's timing. And just the stories, the relevance of the stories. And I'm so proud to be a part of something like this. It was birthed in Tasha's vision, but it's also like all of our personal testimonies. Yeah. So amazing.
Yeah. Well, go ahead. Was that you, Danisha? Danisha, to talk a little bit about the Amelia Project?
Yes. So the Amelia Project was birthed from a kind of traumatic experience. My daughter went to high school. She met a young lady named Amelia. Amelia grew up in the foster care system. It became her best friend over the years. They were, class of 2020. And, they got, hit the hardest with this whole COVID thing. They got their prom got taken away, no graduation. Amelia ended up, graduating high school, without, anything. And she was just she turned 18 and she aged out of the system. Because of all of her, issues of growing up in the system, it was her and her foster parents decided it was just best for her to get her own place. And, the last 6 months, she just couldn't find her footing. Was just dealing with, issues with self-esteem, just trying to figure out, life. Her and my daughter had gotten really close this, during the pandemic. The book got released and it went on sale on Amazon. I actually purchased it on Amazon. I purchased it before I actually got it in my hands, and I got it in my hands March 27th, and I got off work, and I stayed up March 28th the entire night, and I read the book. And that morning, I text Tasha. I was like, this book is amazing. Like, you kept this from us. Like, this is just crazy. And when I finished it, I thought about Amelia. Like, Amelia needs this. Like, this is perfect for her. Like, it just got, it just gives her, it would just give her so much hope. And the digital copy was only, available at the time. And I said, when I get my books printed, I'm going to hand her a copy. Well, later that evening, Amelia ended up passing away. She committed suicide. And just the pressures of life just came, too hard, and she just couldn't find her way out of it. We found out that was the 28th was a Sunday. We found out Monday morning, and it just rocked my world. And of course, my daughter, she's 18 and she's been dealing with so much, and I was just like, how can we, avoid this from, how can we prevent this from happening to somebody else? So this is where the Amelia Project was born. This book was just too important. It just has so many tools that I think that Amelia would have benefited from, but I just didn't have the opportunity to give it to her. So the three of us are banding together to get donations to get these books in the hands of children in the foster care system, because like I said, it's an amazing tool just to help you realize that it is a light at the end of the tunnel. You may not feel it right now, the light, you may not see the light, but there is a light. And like I said, unfortunately, Amelia wasn't able to see her light or see through her pain. But I just want to help one little girl, if that's all, in the name of Amelia. So if you guys can get to Shenomenal.com/Amelia Project, to purchase a book for donation, that would really, really help this project move along. We're still trying to work out the details how we're going to get it into the hands of these girls, but this is a project of my heart right now, and it's so important.
Wow, what a really, really sad story, and beautiful that you've made it into a project to help others. It sounds like something we need to get to the attention of Congresswoman Karen Bass, who's done such amazing work with foster youth. We are going to continue our conversation. You are welcome to join 520-KJLH, 520-5554. It is a Wellness Wednesday, and we are talking with the authors of Women Who Gave Up Excuses and Made a Way Through Life's Most Challenging Times, Shenomenal Women. It's Radio Free 102.3 KJLH.